good friend of mine called Anwar Craven. I set up a business with him in 2008. I've known him a long, long time, and I respect him immensely as a business person. He knows what he's talking about. He's going to do a 30-minute presentation for you on Swiss Gold Global. How he started, only 3 months ago that he started, what he's doing himself, and he's going to give you, full overview by showing you live what's going on with regards to this platform for him. And I promise you, some of this information, guys, if you really take hold of it, if you really grasp what he's actually saying here, and I'm sure you will, he's going to show you the figures, you go out and check it out yourself. But if you really, truly grasp it, then for some of you, you could create legacies, financial legacies that could span the next 100 years. 2, 3 generations within your family. It is that important. And I highly recommend every single one of you take a look at it. If you do anything about it, that's entirely up to you. But as of now, or if you watch this video, then I am officially going to remove the right for you to say that you had no idea or you didn't know in the future. That is officially gone.
Okay, right, cheers for that, Paul. Okay, guys, so I know everyone watching this video is going to be coming at this from varying levels of knowledge, so I'm just going to give you a start to finish overview as if I was talking to my mum and taking her from the beginning to end of what this platform's all about. Like Paul said, my day-to-day business is that we're internet marketers. We've launched like 1,000 websites. We've built affiliate businesses. We've got a client base that ranges from Coca-Cola to British Gas to Virgin, whatever. We've done loads of stuff online. So when I kind of reference parts of this and I say, I think there's some real genius in this system, it's like there really is. It's like the way that this can accumulate wealth for your average person, I think is unrivaled. I've not seen anything like this before in my life. So, all right, so let's just take a quick sort of look at the market as things are. We know that the banking system is on its arse. Whatever way you look at it, 700 trillion has just been printed out of thin air. It always makes me laugh when you look at the economy and it's like people will talk about the GDP. You'll hear it on the news. Every time you whack on the news, they'll talk about the GDP and the growth of the country. But the whole point of that is you've got these supposedly intelligent economists that are talking about the economy, and it's like not one of them ever stops to ask whoever had 1 trillion to lend Britain. Who had 11 trillion to lend to America? No one. It's just money that's been made out of thin air. So, and then when you talk about the credit crunch in 2008, what was the term that they said? They said the banks stopped lending to each other. That's because there is a law called fractional reserve banking, which means that any bank, say I'm Barclays Bank and I've got 10 billion in, I'm legally allowed to issue credit cards and loans to the tune of 100 billion. 10 times what I've got in cash reserves. So they're literally printing money out of thin air. Now, the outcome of what this does is it means that as they print more money, whether it's to bail themselves out or because that's just how the financial system works, that they make money out of thin air, as soon as they print more money, the value of it goes down and down and down and down and down. So I just look at things like real simple. 20 years ago, when I was 20, I could work a simple telesales job or something, earning, 200, 250 quid, and I could pay all my bills. I could go out 4 or 5 nights a week, buy clothes, buy music, still have money left over at the end of the week. Like, you can't do that now. That same job and that same position, everyone is struggling. In this country alone, in England, we're going to have 3 million families this year go to food banks. I mean, that's a shocking statistic, and a lot of them are working people. I mean, it's like, what the hell is going on here? And what's going on is that they keep printing money, and the buying power of our cash, our paper cash, is going down and down the pan constantly. And that's a real problem because, I've got a lot of my friends that aren't in business that just work normal jobs. I know categorically that they can only go out once a month now. Yet we used to go out 4 nights a week. And it's like now it's down to once a month. But as the cost of petrol and food and fuel and all these things keep going up, even to the point where you buy a chocolate bar now and they're tiny. Go and buy a pepperami stick that used to be this big, it's this big. Like, everything's being downsized and smaller, and it's like, because the buying power of what we've got is getting less and less and less and less. So next year, when another 10% inflation happens, my mate might not be able to go out once every 2 months. You go forward another year, and like that person isn't going out at all, and they're just working full time just to live and exist, and it's a disgusting situation that we find ourselves in. So it's like, So that's looking at the banking system as it is. There's clearly problems, and it's like what I see with what's happened with Bitcoin is Bitcoin's been put together as a system which I think is for the people. I think it's the thing that's going to bring down the existing establishment system, and I think it's going to give us all an opportunity to have prosperity again. And the reason being is that if I was to send you money and you live abroad, the bank's going to take a charge for handling it. There's an international bank that probably takes another charge. There's a currency charge, and everyone's got their dirty little fingers in, taking a small piece of every transaction. Every time you go and use a cash point, there's a transaction fee. Every time you go and use your Visa card in a Visa machine in a shop, there's a fee. And they're constantly taking money out all the time. The Bitcoin network's been put together so that I could send you £1 million and it doesn't cost a penny. So suddenly, where's the use of a bank? There is no use of a bank because we can send value and money between ourselves using Bitcoin wallets for nothing. So this technology is here to stay now. Now, I've got to say, personally, I'm kicking myself because I was offered stuff to do in Bitcoin 3-4 years ago and I ignored it. And I ignored it for one simple reason, is that I went into business to not just get by. I went into business to hit it hard and to do well, and to to not have to give a shit about saving for 5% a year and stuff like that. It never appealed to me. So as a result, anything that meant me worrying about saving always felt quite negative. It felt like a fear-based thing. Got to save for your old age. My attitude was simple. If I end up broke when I'm 60, I fucking deserve to be broke. It's like it's my own fault. Yeah. So it's like I've looked at anything that just had quite low returns, and at the time when I was offered Bitcoin a few years ago, it was about a 20-30% return a year, which actually was incredible when you think that a bank was paying 2 or 3%. So it's like, tenfold of what I was getting in a bank. But I just wasn't in the mindset to look at something that was giving that sort of low level of return. Big mistake, actually. Now you see how much Bitcoin's gone up or whatever, because people have made small fortunes in it. But that's a whole other story. So I didn't properly look at it at this point. Stevie, as you know, though, he'd been in it for years and he'd been saying a lot to me, and I've seen the consistent growth in his business and the consistent growth in what he's put in with Bitcoin, and it's become increasingly more and more impressive. Now, so it was probably about 3 months ago when there was a slight increase in Bitcoin, and Stevie had spoke to me about it again, and suddenly the penny dropped for me. It dropped big time, and that's changed everything. So I've only actually been active within this platform now for about the last 3 months. But what I'm seeing happening and the growth of it is stunning. But I've got to go through this process now to explain to you why. So what we did was we looked at it, and we started to see what would happen on the compounding effect of buying mining. And it kind of come about in a random conversation. Me and a business partner were looking at it, and he ended up drawing up a spreadsheet, which really blew my mind. So let me just pull this up and I can show you how this all kind of began for us. So we were looking at this mining, and he put this spreadsheet together on the basis that he had access to a business card which was giving him 25 grand's worth of borrowing. And so he looked at it and thought, what if I took 15 grand off the card and I invested 12,000, so I'm just going to change the figures live on screen, 12,000 into mining, and I used 3 grand to pay back the credit card. So for this period here, down for the next 12 months, that 250 per minimum repayment was paid out of the 3 grand. So we started to pull the spreadsheet together and look, and we did like a sensible cost analysis of this to really see what was possible with it. Now at the time, we were seeing returns of about 12% a month based on the Bitcoin price as it was a couple of months ago. So we looked at it and thought, right, if you put 12 grand into mining, in month 1, it would be worth £1,440 would come back to you. So then you'd buy more mining. So then your mining would grow to £13,440 worth of mining. In month 2, your gains increase. So you've got 1,612. Buy more mining, and you keep repeating this process. So you start to get into month 6, and you've got £23,000 worth of mining that in month 7 pays out 2,842. So it was getting significant. So we ran the figures down for the year. At the end of the year, you'd have £46,000 worth of mining power paying out £5,000 a month. And in months 13 and 14, you just use the £5,000 to pay back the credit card. So pretty much within 14 months, you've paid back the credit card or loan, and you were left with £5,000 a month repeat passive income coming in. Now, what become really astonishing with this, because we were still at the time we didn't know there was going to be a surge in Bitcoin, so we started to look at what would happen if it dropped and it went to 10% a month. You still end up with £37,000 worth of mining and 3,400 a month coming in. Then we thought, right, what if the arse dropped out of it completely and went to like 25% of its value and it was only delivering 3% a month return? And actually, you still end up with £17,000 worth of mining power, turning over £498 a month. Bearing in mind the card was only costing £250. So we felt very comfortable of what the risk of this was, because even if there was a sudden huge drop in the value of Bitcoin, it was still pretty amazing. Now when you start to when you move forward a few months to where we are today, we're seeing 18% returns. So the cost of mining hasn't changed, but the value of Bitcoin's just gone through the roof. So suddenly now, 6 months in, there's 40 grand's worth of mining delivering £7,000 a month, as opposed to £2,800 a month. Move it forward a year, that's turned to £16,000 a month. I mean, these figures are just mind-blowing that that's even possible. So once we'd done this spreadsheet and we started to really look at it, that's when, for me, I started to switch on to the business, because I can see so many avenues and markets for this. I mean, let's take the first option. So we've all got friends and family who are just hardworking, but they're probably left with 50 or 100 quid left every month. We've all got people that may not be able to save, but they might have been able to accrue a couple of grand in an ISA, let's say. So let's say we just take that average person and we say, let's say they've got £1,500 that they can put into mining. And we use the current today figures, bearing in mind this is still showing on screen lower and higher figures. If we just use that and move forward 6 months, that £1,500 has accumulated into £5,000 worth of mining, delivering £900 a month. That's life-changing for people. That's like, someone's taken their money that they've got in a crappy savings account or an ISA, and bang, suddenly it's 900 quid a month. They can take their kids out to cinema, because they're not worried about it costing them 60, 70 quid to go to cinema. They can go bowling, they can do meals, they can buy clothes, they can do things that were not possible before. They could clear all their debts with this, and they've done it with not a huge amount of money invested. You fast forward that 12 months, there's a £2,000 a month return, and all we need right now is Bitcoin to stay exactly the same. No growth, no massive drop, just stay as it is, and anyone that puts in 1,500 quid and repeatedly buys more mining from their weekly and daily payouts, that's what they're going to end up with. Pretty much a full-time wage coming back for actually doing nothing. So at this point, it was really switching on for me. Now, when me and Paul spoke before, obviously the military is an amazing, unique situation, because a lot of you guys are going off on deployment in places where you can't spend money anyway. So actually, to have your money working for you while you're away, and you've got all these cheap overheads where, you're living as you do in barracks or whatever around the world, you're saving money all the time. But what if you could put some of that money in and just see it dramatically amplify? It's not beyond, I don't think, most people in the military to put £3,000-4,000 a year, or if not more, into this. But within 12 months, you've suddenly got like a £4 grand a month return. £4 grand a month. I mean, this isn't going to go forever, I'm sure, because there's going to come a point where mining capacity hits its capacity. We're just very, very fortunate that right now we're in a huge growth period where we've got lots of room to benefit from this. But 2-3 years down the track, I'm not sure that's necessarily going to be the case, because there are big investors, institutional investors, pension funds, hedge funds, multi-millionaires, and all these people are all starting to jump into this now.
Which have not yet come into
Which have not yet come in, but they're in it. They're now starting to look at this, because it's a huge area for growth when all other areas of investment aren't so great right now, So this really started to switch on for me. I was looking at it and thinking, right, all my mates on low income can put 30, 40, 50 quid a month into this, and actually in a year or 2 years' time, their whole world changes. Everyone that's got money sat around in, ISAs and other savings accounts, great. Then you move it up to the next level. So you might have someone that's just been a good citizen. They've sat there and they've saved 30, 40, 20, 30, 40,000 pounds. But what they're not necessarily realising, most of these people, is inflation is going up 5 to 10% per year. So that means if you've got 20 grand sat in an account and let's just for ease of figures say it's 10% a year, the cost of fuel, petrol and everything else increases, that means that you're losing £2,000 a year in buying power on that money. So it's just devaluing £2,000 a year. So even if that person's being the good citizen and they're still putting another £200, away every month, they're just leveling out and they're not growing. So that same person can, if we do the figures, just go and take 4,000, let's say, from their 20 grand, whack it into mining, and immediately at today's level, they're going to be pulling in £800 to £1,000 a month. That's incredible. That's another 12 grand on top of their 20,000 that they had in savings in 1 year. And if they compound it, it just gets astronomical. In year one, at the end of year one, 5 grand a month. Compound it again into 18 months, 14 grand a month. Compound it to a year, you're probably looking at 30 grand a month. It gets ridiculous.
I think the main focus here is like the 2-year period, yeah.
100%. Yeah, we've got a 2-year period to make good on this, because I'm not sure that level of compounded growth across the entire world is even possible for the network to grow to that size. But right now, we're very lucky that we're in at a level where it's very profitable and there is a lot of growth to go forward, which is, it's fantastic.
How much they're actually predicting that the Bitcoins are going to be worth. I mean, that's really where we don't know, but it's looking very likely, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's a huge amount of conjecture as to where this will all go, because different analysts have got different ideas and this, that and the other. But the way that it makes most sense to me that people have done is they've gone backwards and they've said, what if Bitcoin becomes 10% of the world's trade? Which is more than possible. Big investments moving for free in between countries and whatever. That's very likely to be possible. Suddenly you have to work backwards and you come to a figure that one Bitcoin becomes worth anywhere between 1 and 5 million. And at the moment they're averaging at about $2,500. So there's still 1,000-fold growth in Bitcoin, and there's 1,000-fold growth in the mining and the network and everything. So right now, today, what we're on, June 2017, right now we've got an opportunity, I believe, for the next couple of years to do.
I mean, it's one of the reasons why we're showing that. Really, I mean, when you look at this, I could not get this info out. So many people that are struggling, like you said.
Yeah, that's what gets it for me. I mean, it's like, a lot of my really close friends are screwed in 2 years. It's a fact. And there's nothing the government and the banks are going to do to change that. So if they don't put their money into something sensible, they are not going to change their circumstances, and it's going to get quite dire for them. And that's not cool. And so for me, with this works to any budget. If someone's got a lot of money to invest, great, they'll make a fortune. If they've only got a little bit to invest, there's something that they can build and compound to something sensible. But let's just pull this back to the military side. It's like, my nephew went in the army and stuff, and loads of the people in the military aren't necessarily loving life in it. It's a hard game, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And it's like, so a lot of people are looking for that way out, or do they sign up for another 5-10 years, whatever it is you have to sign up for? And actually, this is the easiest thing in the world, I think, for someone that's away on a deployment to just throw money in that they're not spending in a pub, they're not pissing it up the wall, they whack it into something that compounds and changes their future. And when you start to then assess that there are millions and millions of people that are in the forces all across the world, it becomes a seriously interesting potential, this, to change a lot of their circumstances and lives, but also for the business side of this.
Well, I mean, the main thing here is obviously, through this platform, you can join for free, and obviously a big part of this video is everybody just join for free, get involved, start to learn it, because these are the sort of potential that we're talking, yeah. But there's other packages you can come in and stuff like that. I mean, what did you get involved in? What area? And how did you do it?
The platform that we're on, Swiss Gold Global, does, as we've said, gold, silver and Bitcoin mining. Now, if we were to look at the partnerships that are involved in that, there is Arga Heraeus is the provider of all the gold. Heraeus, let's get it. Arga Heraeus, yes. Okay, so Arga Heraeus are the world's biggest gold and silver refinery. So, you know, when you look at like London Bullion Market and this, that and the other, these are the big boys, the biggest that there is out there. Now, Bill, the CEO from Swiss Gold Global, set this business up as being a company that just did gold and silver, and they've really successfully done that and had thousands of people that have been using it as a buying club for gold and silver. And if I go to with Arga Heraeus, you'll see that they've got over 40,000 staff. They're the biggest at what they do, you know, hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds turnover. Now, Bill got the last license from Arga Heraeus that they've ever issued to an outside company in order to set up Swiss Gold. So that's like a measure of like how highly thought of he is and the business that he set up and the ethics behind it. A few years ago, he then started to look at the cryptocurrency market that was emerging. So he went around the world and actually saw all of the different crypto mining companies, and he ended up working with Genesis Mining. Now, if I just bring up Genesis, so with Genesis, they're the biggest miners in the world. So apart from the Chinese government, who are massive in Bitcoin, Genesis are number 3 in the world behind them for Bitcoin, and for all the alternative coins such as Ethereum and Litecoin and Dash and this, that and the other, they're number 1 in the world. Now, as a company, they're set up with people that are mathematicians. You see on here, quantum physicists, you know, doctors of mathematics and stuff like that. So these are some really smart technical people that have worked out how to optimize thousands and thousands of machines to all mine in unison, to work on the perfect formula with a perfect chipset and all the things that we're never going to do. So it's like we as individuals could go on eBay today and we could order a Bitcoin mining rig. And if I just show you one of these, I'll show you from this video, and it will just put a measure of scale of what we're involved with. So this was a video that I did, and if I just skip forward, this is like, you can see here, I go full screen. This was in the video I referenced a eBay Bitcoin mining machine. Now, a lot of people struggle to get their head around what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin required computing power to work. You know, when you go and use your Visa card in a shop, it has to connect between the Visa card terminal to the merchant account, to the bank account, and it's all using computers to do so. In order for Bitcoin to become essentially a usable currency across the world, it needed a lot of computers. So as it was not owned by anyone and there wasn't someone just dumping £1 billion in computing in, they had to set up a system that paid people to dedicate computing power to the network, and they did this through mining. So if we went onto eBay now, we could spend $2,000 buying one of these dedicated little computers that adds computing power to the Bitcoin network. As a result of doing that, and the process it has to run, it mines for Bitcoins. It basically solves an algorithm, a mathematical problem, and after a certain period of time it will stumble across a block of Bitcoins as if it was physically mining for them. Now, so this gives you a measure of like the size of that machine, and you can see the cost of it. Yeah. So further along in this video, and I'm just going to sort of shut up in a minute and play it for you. So this is Bill, the CEO, going into one of the actual mining server farms. He's just walking into the mining operation, and just have a look at this.
As you can see here and here, there's a lot of areas. As these rigs are mining for Bitcoins. There's literally thousands upon thousands of rigs here. And this is double-sided. This is double-sided.
So if I pause that there, and we go, just imagine going back to that eBay image. One of these little sections that you see in black, that's one of those $2,000 computers. So then if we go and really look at this and expand it out further to here, this is like probably a room with 10 or 20 million pounds worth of computing power that does nothing but mine for Bitcoin. Now, so when we start to look at this, we think, you know, these are institutional investors, incredibly sharp, wealthy people that are pumping millions upon millions upon millions of pounds into setting up these mining rigs. So we, as the general public, should not have access to this, really. We should be literally the people on eBay with our little crappy computers hoping to strike gold and hit the coin. what Genesis have done through their partnership with Swiss Gold is make it available for the likes of me and you to go and buy a little bit of space in one of those mining stacks. So whatever we put in, we could start from $30 or we could put $30,000 in and have a few of them. But we're almost like part owners of that hardware in their mining farms. And that's why this opportunity just spits out money to us. Because we're essentially investing in them and giving them money to buy more hardware and set up more of these server farms, a little bit like a partnership. So our money then generates Bitcoin. And if we choose to spend more Bitcoin and put it back in and buy more computing power, it will keep spitting out more. It's like a cash machine, you know, the more of these computers and more of this computing power we have, the more Bitcoin that comes back to us. So it just puts a measure in and a perspective, I think, when you see this, where you can see that we're very fortunate to be able to tech invest, if you like, in this setup. And as a result, that's why we all get paid. So going back to what you were saying about now, you know, you get it, you understand the market, you understand why it spits out Bitcoin. It will still probably to some of you seem really weird that, you know, Bitcoin has a value. But another big turning point for me with Bitcoin, and these are things that have only really happened in the last 12 months, is that other outside businesses have started to innovate in a way that's really cool. So for example, I use my Bitcoin wallet, which is like my Bitcoin bank account, with a company called Xapo. Now, if you see here, I've just gone onto their main website. So Swiss Gold, who do our mining, every day send a bit of Bitcoin to my Xapo wallet. It's just my wallet of choice, you know. And as you can see, they do the world's first Bitcoin debit card. So this means that I can go and use my Visa debit card and I can walk into a pub, buy a meal, buy a pint, scan my Visa card just like any other debit or credit card that's got the Visa logo on, and it will immediately bill my Xapo account, which will convert Bitcoin into real money. So it's just a set, for all intensive purposes, it's exactly the same as a normal bank account, but it's run on Bitcoin. Now, if I log into this, I'll show you mine. As I go into Xapo, so as I open up my wallet, what you can see here is every transaction, every single day, I've got money coming in, Bitcoin coming in, and a payment. And when a payment goes out, that's because I've bought more mining. But here, money coming in, payment going out, money coming in, payment going out. So this is a continuous thing where Swiss Gold are sending me Bitcoin, and when it gets over $30, I just go and buy more mining because I'm wanting to compound as quickly as I possibly can. So pretty much every day, I'm now buying more mining. But you can see that this is, you know, a different spin on it, because suddenly we've got essentially a Swiss bank account in this Xapo where we can have money sent, which is kind of tax-free because it's not money, it's Bitcoin, so and tax only applies to money really. But yet we can spend it anywhere we want, anywhere in the world, using a Visa card. You know, so suddenly Bitcoin has just gone mainstream with this. We're starting to see cash points appearing in city centres using Bitcoin. You know, high street stores like CEX, I know that the Games Exchange people, and the Subway and stuff like that, they're all starting to accept Bitcoin because it's becoming a currency that's accepted everywhere now. So going back to the what we do as we join, if I just pull up Swiss Gold, so what you're going to see when you come through to the website is here. You can join for free, or you can purchase a distributor package. Now the distinction between this I really like. I think it's if someone's coming in and they're not going to in any way share this with anyone, they just want to come in, purchase their own mining, purchase their gold and silver, they can do so for free and just order whatever it is they want, and that's fine. What you tend to find though, and this has been a really interesting part of the journey, is that most people come in and they're quite gobsmacked that, you know, let's say they put £1,000 in and they're getting £200 a month back. You know, like I currently myself, I've got just over £4,000 in, and I'm pulling £900 a month back out of my account, which if I show you here. this is calculated here because my Bitcoin rate is 44 terahash. It's like my amount of mining power. And it says here that it pays an average of this amount of Bitcoin. So if I just drop this into, so you see here, that amount of Bitcoin converting to British pound is about £29.49 per day. So it's like £900 a month. There is nothing that I've seen on the planet where you can put £4,000 in and get £900 a month back. It just doesn't exist. It's incredible, and to have done it in such a short space of time. But the so let me just go back here. So there's different options here. So you can join for free, you can buy what you want, start compounding, make an income, great. But we all end up a little bit gobsmacked and a bit advocating for it because you know that it will sort all your friends out, it'll sort your family out, you know. I'm looking at it as like, for my mum and dad, it's like an additional pension for them, you know. They can go off and do some trips around the world or whatever, you know. It's like, so you naturally end up sharing it with people. If you do that as a free customer, then you get 2.5%, like a nice kickback on everything they buy mining wise. Now it doesn't sound a lot, but it really does start to stack up. Imagine if you had 100 friends in that were all doing £1,000 a month compounding, so that would be like £100,000 that they were spending, you know, rebuying. Suddenly you've got £2,500 a month extra coming in. Within 12 months, you're on footballer money, literally, on that. So it's like, don't discount the power of like these 2.5%. However, if you're going to actively go out and properly promote it, and you know you're going to make a thing of doing it, you need to buy a distributor pack. Now, the only distinction on these distributor packs is it gives you 5% instead of 2.5%, and you also get some extra commissions on other packs that are sold within your business, and that becomes really quite profitable. So if I just show you inside mine. Okay, so in the last, I don't know, say in the last month, I've probably brought in 15 people that have bought distributor packs. So you can see here, there's one set of commission for 520, another set of monthly commission for 560, plus nearly $400 in there. So this is, it's becoming quite impressive. The commissions that come through just from people within the team buying and so on and so on. So not only is the 2.5% and 5% really good, the extra commissions are also cool too, because you can just buy more mining with it or take it as cash. So you just need to decide what works for you and your budget. So the 249 pack gives you a little bit of gold and a little bit of mining. The 797 includes all of the distributor fees, the $50 a month fees in one go. So some people prefer to pay it all up front. The 3,000 and the 5,000 package just come with more gold or silver and more mining. And then you've got the miner packages, which is the cheapest one to get in on, is the $170 up front, $50 a month with a little bit of mining to get you started. And then you've got a $3,000 mining package, which gives you more mining power. Once you've bought one of these packages and you're inside the back office, you can then just increase your mining power. So if I go to my crypto, it's not just Bitcoin as well. As you'll see, we've got access to buy more than just Bitcoin. So we can buy Bitcoin, Zcash, Dash, Litecoin, and Ethereum. So if I wanted to buy more, I can just go in and choose whichever ones. I'm going to choose Bitcoin. There's a sliding scale here, so I can put in up to 15 terahash in one go at 1950. And if I wanted more than that, I could just keep buying more. Likewise, if you just wanted to put something small in, like $60 or $30, you can do that also. So yeah, very good, very flexible platform with an amazing income potential. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that you'd want me to cover on there?
Really, you look at it, a lot of people when they're first coming into this, I think what you've seen many other people see is, and myself as well, you know, they've got the free account, they can come in, they can just trial it, can't they? Just start to buy a bit of Bitcoin, see how it actually works.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and
yeah. So that's a really important point, is that I personally have told everyone to just come in for free. You know, sign in for free, get yourself up and running, buy some mining, see that it's compounding, see that you're getting a daily payout. I mean, you need probably, it's about $400, $500 worth of mining in order to see it paid daily. Otherwise, you're getting a daily payout, but it's too small to be shipped into your wallet. So, you know, if that's what someone's budget is, and they've got like, you know,
bit at a time, isn't it?
yeah, $400-500, and that's all they've got to put in. Don't bother with a distributor package. Just buy the mining. Come in for free, buy the mining, start compounding, and you can always upgrade to a distributor package at a later date. But the most important thing is that you come in for free, get familiar with the system, and start mining for sure.
Brilliant.
And those of you that have got more money and want to immediately start, you know, recruiting and this, that, and the other, get a distributor package and buy some extra mining as well.
I think one of the things, I mean, within the military, I mean, a big part of the audience listening to this, mate, will be a lot of my friends. So a lot of them at my age. Some of them are tech savvy. Some of them are way tech savvy. They're probably involved in this already. But some people have not even given it a second thought at this moment in time. You know, again, to me, it's just a case of once you know the information, once you see what's going on here, you know, if you want to look into the future, then you can with this, can't you? You just have to do the research, really.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think the more that we look into the information, the more appealing it actually seems to be, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you know, for me personally, like, we're just about to launch a couple of really awesome health businesses that have all got affiliate systems built in. And, you know, we're actually as a company looking at putting, you know, a few £1,000s a month into this.
I mean, you've had a lot on your plate, so to put this in, this showed me how
I mean,
exciting.
Yeah, honestly, like, you know, like I should not be doing this right now with everything that we've got on the table that has to be built, but it's got me gripped. There's no doubt, because it's like, I know already that this is gonna, you know, this is changing people's world.
Well, listen, I appreciate you sharing that with us. It's a lot of information there, guys. I appreciate that, but it's been worthwhile, hopefully. And like I said, over the next month, 2 months or so, I'll be gradually putting out a lot more information. We want to appreciate your time. We want to appreciate Stevie's time. Bitcoin Commando.